The ship called Horizon floated in the empty space. Captain Ellie Wright stood tall on the bridge. Her eyes stayed on the big screen as the alien ships came closer. After many years of watching Earth from far away, the aliens called the Galactic Confederation finally wanted to talk to humans. This meeting would be the first time humans would join the space community. "They are coming to Dock 3, Captain," said Alan Martinez. His fingers moved quickly over the glowing control panel. "Good. Tell Dr. Penny Garcia to meet us there with her friend," Ellie said with a small smile. She knew what the aliens were about to see would change everything they thought they knew about humans. The aliens called Xeraxians walked into the meeting room in perfect order. They were tall and thin with shiny scales and 4 arms. Their leader, Ambassador Krelthax, looked at the humans with big, many-sided eyes that showed a little fear. "Welcome to the Horizon, Ambassador," said Ellie. She held out her hand in the human way of greeting. The ambassador waited before gently touching her hand with one of his top arms. "We are happy to finally talk with you, Captain Wright. Your kind has been very interesting to the Confederation." "Because we come from a death world?" asked Ellie. She already knew Earth had been called this. "Yes. Your home planet's heavy, gravity, big weather changes, poisonous plants and dangerous animals make it amazing that smart life grew there at all," said Krelthax. "Most types of people in the Confederation grew on worlds with much nicer conditions." Right then, the doors opened, and Dr. Garcia walked in. Next to her walked a big gray wolf with yellow eyes that looked smart as it checked the room. The aliens all jumped back at once. Their scales turned pale blue, which Ellie knew meant they were scared. "What kind of hunter is this?" asked Ambassador Krelthax in a higher voice than before. Dr. Garcia smiled and put her hand on the wolf's head. "This is Luna, my friend and work partner. She's a gray wolf, one of Earth's top hunters, but don't worry, she's very friendly." You keep a hunter as a friend?" The idea seemed to completely confuse the ambassador. "Humans have tamed many Earth animals for thousands of years," Ellie explained. "Dogs, wolves that we've carefully bred over many generations, were among the first. They've been our friends, guards, and working partners all through our history." As the Xeraxian group slowly came closer to look at Luna, who sat quietly next to Dr. Garcia, Ellie could see the first signs of wonder replacing their fear. What they didn't know yet was that Luna was just the start of what Earth's team planned to show them. For the next 2 weeks, the aliens slowly got used to Luna being in meetings, but they still kept their distance from the wolf. Their scales still sometimes flashed pale blue when she moved quickly. "Captain Wright," Ambassador Krelthax said during their morning talk, "our first sharing of culture has been very helpful. We would like to start the next step, a visit to your Earth, to better understand the place that made your kind." Ellie looked at her first officer, Commander Dan Hill. This was exactly what they had been hoping for. "We would be honored to host your group, Ambassador," she answered. "In fact, we've made a special tour that I think will give you a new understanding of how humans and animals live together." The ambassador's scales moved in a way that Ellie now knew meant he was curious. "We look forward to this learning chance." 3 days later, the aliens stepped onto Earth for the first time at a private landing place in Wyoming. The aliens right away felt the stronger gravity, moving more carefully as they got used to it. "This area is called the American West," said Dr. Garcia as they got into ground cars. "It has some of our most impressive wildlife parks and ranch lands." "Ranch lands?" asked Ambassador Krelthax. "You'll see soon," promised Ellie. When they arrived at the R Ranch, owned by Dr. Garcia's brother Joe, the aliens first met horses, huge, 1,000-pound plant eaters that humans regularly sat on and directed. "You control these beasts with simple pressure signs and voice commands?" asked Kravala, the Xeraxian animal expert, watching in shock as Joe showed riding methods. "It's not about control as much as working together," Joe explained, patting his brown horse's neck kindly. "Horses have been working with humans for about 6,000 years. They changed travel, farming, and fighting for thousands of years before our machines." When the aliens were asked to come near the horses, they did so with clear fear. The idea of willingly going near an animal that could easily crush them was clearly challenging what they thought was sensible behavior. "But this is nothing," Dr. Garcia said with a small smile. Wait until you see what's next. The tour went on to a nearby wildlife help center, where the group met various hunters. Eagles with sharp claws sitting on human arms, wildcats trained for teaching programs, and finally, the best part, a female mountain lion named Sierra, who had been raised by people after losing her mother as a baby. When Sierra's handler, Kate Mills, went into the special cage and the 120-pound cat rubbed against her legs like a big house cat, Ambassador Krelthax's scales lost all color. This is crazy, he whispered. That creature could break your back with one bite. She could, Kate agreed calmly, scratching behind Sierra's ears as the big cat made a loud purring sound. But she won't. We've built trust. That's the base of how humans work with animals, shared respect and understanding. As the group watched, in silent shock, Ellie knew they were just starting to understand what made humans special in the galaxy. The aliens were seeing for the first time how Earth's most deadly animals could become humanity's most trusted friends. This was just the beginning of showing them that what they thought was Earth's biggest danger, its fierce wildlife, was actually humanity's greatest strength. These first steps would open the door to a whole new understanding between species, across the stars. And as Captain Ellie Wright watched the amazement in the aliens' eyes, she knew that humanity's place in the galaxy would never be the same again. After seeing the mountain lion, the aliens asked many questions. They wanted to know everything about how humans made friends with deadly animals. Captain Ellie Wright and her team spent hours explaining the long history of humans and animals, working together. But why did you start doing this? Asked Ambassador Krelthax as they sat in the ranch house. His scales now showed colors of deep interest instead of fear. We needed to survive, said Commander Dan Hill. Early humans were not the strongest or fastest animals on Earth. We didn't have sharp teeth or claws, but we were smart. We learned that working with wolves gave us better hunting skills. Dr. Penny Garcia nodded. Our oldest cave paintings show humans and wolves hunting together. We gave them food and shelter. They gave us their keen senses and speed. The next morning, Joe Garcia took the aliens to see something new. They drove to a large open field where a man named Greg Wilson waited with several large birds. These are hawks and falcons, Greg explained. He wore a thick leather glove with a red-tailed hawk perched on it. Humans have hunted with birds of prey for over 4,000 years. The aliens watched in wonder as Greg threw the hawk into the air. The bird soared high, then dived at incredible speed toward a training target. Its sharp talons hit with deadly precision. The bird returns to you by choice? Asked Kravala, the alien scientist. Her scales flickered with disbelief. Greg smiled. Yes. I could never catch her if she decided to fly away, but we're partners. I help her hunt, and she shares what she catches. One of the younger aliens named Xerix moved closer. May I touch one of these birds? Greg nodded and brought over a calmer hawk named Scout. He showed Xerix how to hold his arm steady. With great care, Greg moved Scout to the alien's arm. Xerix trembled slightly but held firm. His scales flashed patterns of fear and excitement. She's so light, but I can feel her power, Xerix whispered. The hawk looked at him with intense yellow eyes but stayed calm. Captain Wright smiled as she watched. This was exactly what they had hoped for, the beginning of understanding between species. That afternoon, they visited a local farm where working dogs showed their skills. Border collies raced around a field, moving sheep with amazing control. A German shepherd found hidden objects using only its nose. A huge Newfoundland dog showed how it could pull a person from water in a rescue demonstration. Each breed has special skills, explained the farm owner, Lisa Young. Over thousands of years we shaped these animals to help with specific jobs. But they still look like predators, said Ambassador Krelthax, watching the German shepherds. Strong jaws and sharp teeth. They are, Lisa agreed. But they use those predator skills to help us, not harm us. That evening, back at the ranch, Joe's young daughter Amy brought out her pet. The aliens leaned forward expecting another fearsome creature. Instead, Amy held a small, fluffy rabbit. You also keep prey animals? Asked Kravala, confused. We keep all kinds of animals. Amy said, petting the rabbit's soft fur. Some for work, some for food, and many just because we love them. This seemed to puzzle the aliens even more than the predators had. The idea of keeping animals simply for emotional connection was new to them. On the third day, they traveled to a marine research center on the coast. Here, the aliens saw humans working with ocean creatures. Dr. Ben Lee introduced them to dolphins that helped with underwater research. The sleek gray animals swam up to the edge of their pool, making clicking sounds and watching the aliens with curious eyes. Dolphins are among the smartest animals on Earth, Dr. Lee explained. They can understand complex commands and even communicate with us in limited ways. The aliens watched in amazement as the dolphins followed signals from their trainers, retrieving objects from the bottom of the pool and jumping through hoops. But most impressive is their rescue work, continued Dr. Lee. Dolphins have saved countless humans from drowning. They seem to have a natural desire to help us. Next, they met Maria Chen, who worked with octopuses. Though not traditionally seen as companion animals, these 8-armed creatures showed remarkable intelligence. "Watch this," said Maria, placing a sealed jar with food inside the octopus tank. The group watched as the octopus named Ollie examined the jar, then carefully unscrewed the lid to get the food. Their problem-solving skills rival those of young human children, Maria explained, and each has its own personality. The final stop of the day was the most surprising. In a special building with thick glass walls, Keeper Paul Adams worked with crocodiles, giant reptiles with massive jaws that could crush bone. "These are some of Earth's oldest predators," Paul explained as he entered the enclosure with a 14-foot crocodile. "They've barely changed in millions of years because they're already perfect killing machines." The aliens pressed against the glass, scales paling with fear as they watched Paul approach the massive reptile. Using hand signals and a target stick, Paul guided the crocodile through several behaviors. The huge animal opened its mouth, showing rows of dagger-like teeth, and closed it gently when Paul gave a signal. "Is he not afraid?" whispered Zarix. "Of course he is," answered Captain Wright. "Fear is healthy, but humans learn to work with fear, not be controlled by it." As they watched Paul reward the crocodile with fish, Ambassador Krelthax turned to Captain Wright. "We've studied Earth for decades, but we never understood this aspect of humanity," he said quietly. "We saw your world as too dangerous for intelligent life. We thought you survived despite your predators, but now I see you thrived because of them." Ellie nodded. "Working with Earth's most dangerous creatures taught us patience, respect, and cooperation. Those same skills will help us work with the many different species in the galaxy." The ambassador's scales shifted to a deep gold color that Ellie had never seen before. "Tomorrow we would like to see how these relationships helped shape your civilization," he said. As the sun set over the research center, humans and aliens walked together, planning the next day's journey. Behind them, Earth's fierce creatures, now partners instead of threats, watched with ancient, knowing eyes. The universe was changing, and they were part of it. The next morning, Captain Ellie Wright received an urgent message on her communicator. Her face grew serious as she listened. The aliens noticed the change right away. "Is something wrong, Captain?" asked Ambassador Krelthax. "Yes," said Ellie. "A Zeraxian science ship has crashed in the Amazon rainforest. The crew is alive but trapped inside. They can't leave because large predators are surrounding the ship." The ambassador's scales turned pale. "What kind of predators?" "Jaguars mostly," said Commander Hill. "They're big cats similar to the mountain lion you saw, but more powerful. The Amazon is one of the wildest places on Earth." "How will you rescue our people?" asked Kravala, her voice shaking. Ellie looked at her team. "We'll send in our best. Animal handlers and their partners. They can reach the ship faster and safer than a standard rescue team." The aliens seemed confused by this plan. Using animals to save people from other animals made no sense to them, but they had no better ideas. Within an hour, a rescue team gathered at a small airfield. Captain Wright took the ambassador and 2 other aliens with her to watch the operation from a safe distance. They boarded a helicopter that would follow. The rescue team. The team leader was Sam Cooper, a tall man with sun-darkened skin. With him were 4 animal handlers and their partners, 2 German shepherds trained for search and rescue, a pair of trained caracals, medium-sized wild cats, and 2 falconers with their hawks. The dogs will track the scent of the Xeraxians, Sam explained as they prepared to leave. The caracals will keep the jaguars away from our path, and the hawks will be our eyes from above, spotting dangers before we reach them. The ambassador watched in silent wonder as humans and animals worked together, checking equipment and communicating with subtle signals. These creatures that should be enemies were acting like a single team. The rainforest below them was thick and green, stretching as far as they could see. The helicopter pilot spotted the crashed ship in a small clearing. Around it, they could see the golden shapes of jaguars moving in the shadows. "There are at least 5 big cats down there," said the pilot, "and probably snakes and other dangers. We can't see from here." The rescue team landed in a larger clearing about a mile away. Captain Wright and the alien stayed in the helicopter, watching through cameras attached to Sam's gear. Sam released the hawks first. The birds soared high, above the trees, their sharp eyes mapping the area. Through their radios, the team heard the falconers reporting what the birds had found. 3 jaguars on the north side, 2 more circling from the east. The ship has damage, but the hull is intact. Next, the dog handlers sent their German shepherds forward. The dogs moved with purpose, sniffing the air and ground, leading the team through the safest path. The caracals padded alongside them, their tufted ears alert to every sound in the forest. Through the camera, the aliens watched as the team moved smoothly through the dense jungle. When one of the hawks screamed a warning, everyone froze. A jaguar was nearby. One of the caracals moved forward, making strange calls that seemed to confuse the larger cat. The jaguar retreated, unwilling to fight this unfamiliar creature. "Amazing," whispered Xerix. "The small cat is not strong enough to defeat the jaguar, but it knows how to make the jaguar uncertain." "That's often enough," nodded Captain Wright. "Predators don't take unnecessary risks. They're looking for easy prey, not a fight." After 40 minutes of careful movement, the team reached the crashed ship. The dogs circled it, keeping watch while the caracals sat at alert, facing outward, toward the jungle. The human team opened the ship's hatch and found 5 Xeraxians inside, scared but unhurt. "You're safe now," Sam told them. "Stay between us and do exactly as we say. Our animal partners will protect us on the way back." The frightened aliens followed these instructions perfectly. As they began the journey back, one of the hawks spotted a jaguar moving toward them. Sam gave a signal, and one of the dog handlers released her German shepherd. Instead of running away from the huge cat, the dog ran straight toward it, barking loudly. The jaguar, surprised by this bold behavior, backed away into the trees. "The dog is not trying to fight," explained Sam to the rescued Xeraxians. "It's telling the jaguar that we are not easy prey. We are dangerous and not worth the trouble." The journey back was tense but without incident. When they reached the clearing where the helicopter waited, the rescued aliens rushed toward their ambassador, scales flashing with relief. Later that evening, as they all gathered at a human military base, Ambassador Krelthax formally thanked the rescue team. "I must admit," he said, "when Captain Wright told me you would send animals to save our people from other animals, I thought it was madness. Now I see it was the only sensible solution." Sam smiled as he rubbed his German shepherd's ears. "Humans have lived alongside Earth's predators for our entire history. We learned long ago that fighting them wasn't always the best way. Sometimes, understanding them and working with them is far more effective." Xerix, who had been quiet since the rescue, finally spoke up. "On our world, we built walls and weapons to keep dangerous creatures away. We never thought to make them our allies." "Different worlds, different solutions," said Dr. Garcia. "But perhaps there are lessons here that could help your people too." The ambassador's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue-green color. "Indeed, the Confederation has much to learn from Earth. We have advanced technology, but you have something perhaps more valuable, the ability to form bonds with other species that have nothing in common with you." Captain Wright looked around the room at the mixture of humans, aliens, and animals. "That ability might be the most important thing we bring to the galaxy. Not our weapons or our ships, but our capacity to connect with those different from ourselves. That night, as the humans and Xeraxians shared a meal, one of the rescued alien scientists approached Sam Cooper. "I would like to learn more about training these animals," she said. "On my world, we have creatures similar to your canines. Perhaps they too could become partners rather than threats." Sam's face lit up. "I'd be happy to teach you what I know." As Captain Wright watched this exchange, she knew something important had begun. Earth's greatest strength, its connection to its fiercest creatures, was about to become its greatest gift to the stars. News of the Amazon rescue spread quickly through the Galactic Confederation. More alien visitors came to Earth, eager to see the humans and their animal partners. Captain Ellie Wright and her team were now busy with tours and demonstrations almost every day. 2 months after the first meeting, the Earth government decided to hold a special event. They called it the Earth Animal Partnership Exhibition. It would show aliens from many worlds all the different ways humans worked with animals. They built a huge area near Denver, Colorado for the show. 20 different alien species sent people to watch. Some came from worlds where all animals were dangerous. Others came from planets with no large animals at all. All of them wanted to see this strange human skill. "Welcome to the exhibition," said Captain Wright to the gathered aliens. She stood on a stage with Commander Hill and Dr. Garcia. "For the next 5 days, you will see how humans work with over 100 different Earth animals." The show began with farm animals. Visitors watched in wonder as huge horses pulled heavy loads, dogs herded sheep with amazing skill, and trained ducks collected pests from rice fields in Asia. "These animals do the work of machines on our worlds," said a tall blue alien to Ambassador Krelthax. "Yes, but notice how they seem to enjoy the work," the ambassador replied. "There is a connection between them and the humans that no machine could have." The second day focused on service animals. The aliens watched dogs that could detect diseases with their sense of smell, monkeys that helped people who couldn't use their arms, and horses that provided therapy for troubled children. A small, crystal-like alien named Varix was most impressed by a seizure-alert dog. The dog could sense when its human partner was about to have a medical problem, often before any visible signs appeared. "How does the canine know?" Varix asked the dog's handler, a woman named Judy Ross. "We're not entirely sure," Judy admitted, petting her golden retriever named Max. "Their senses are so much stronger than ours. Max can smell chemical changes in my body that happen before a seizure. He warns me so I can get to a safe place." "And you trust your life to this animal?" asked Varix. Judy smiled. "Every day. He's never been wrong." On the third day, the show moved to more exciting demonstrations. Police dogs showed how they could find hidden people and objects. Dolphins performed complex underwater rescues. Birds of prey demonstrated hunting skills that left the audience silent with awe. Xarix, the young Xeraxian who had watched the Amazon rescue, followed every demonstration with great interest. After watching falconers work with their birds, he approached one of them, a woman named Kelly Adams. "The bird chooses to return to you," Xarix said. "It could fly away forever, but it comes back. Why?" Kelly smiled as her peregrine falcon, Sky, sat calmly on her gloved hand. "We've built trust. Sky knows I'll protect her, feed her, and give her chances to fly and hunt. In return, she shares her skills with me. It's a partnership, not ownership." Xarix's scales showed a pattern of deep thought. "On my world, we never considered that animals might choose to work with us." The fourth day brought the most amazing displays. Zach Williams, a man who worked with big cats, entered a large cage with 3 adult tigers. The huge striped cats, each weighing over 500 pounds, greeted him like old friends. They rubbed against his legs and played games with him, always careful, with their giant paws and sharp teeth. "These are not tame animals," Zach explained to the watching aliens. "They are still wild in their hearts. What we have is mutual respect. They know I won't hurt them, and I know they won't hurt me if I respect their boundaries. But they could kill you with one bite," called out a nervous alien from the back. "Yes," agreed Zach calmly as one of the tigers, a huge male named Raj, pressed his massive head against Zach's side. "But they choose not to. That's the wonder of it." The final demonstration of the day left even the human audience holding their breath. Dr. Olivia Young worked with saltwater crocodiles, ancient reptiles that had remained unchanged for millions of years. These were pure predators, with no capacity for affection or emotional connection to humans. Yet Dr. Young showed how, through careful training and respect, even these primal hunters could work with humans. Using hand signals, she guided the 12-foot crocodile through a series of behaviors. The massive reptile, named King, opened his mouth on command, showing rows of deadly teeth, then closed it gently when signaled. Unlike mammals, reptiles don't form emotional bonds with us, Dr. Young explained. But they can learn patterns and associate humans with positive experiences rather than threats or food. To demonstrate the ultimate trust, Dr. Young placed her hand inside King's open mouth for a brief moment. The audience gasped. When she removed her hand safely, they broke into applause. That evening, Captain Wright found Ambassador Krelthax staring at a display showing Earth's history with animals. It showed cave paintings of humans hunting alongside wolves, ancient Egyptian paintings of cats and falcons, and images through time of humans and animals working together. "When we first found your planet," the ambassador said quietly, "we called it a death world. We thought it was too dangerous for intelligent life to evolve. We expected humans to be either very aggressive or always afraid." He turned to face her. "Instead, we found something we never imagined, a species that turns its predators into partners." "We had to adapt," Ellie replied. "Early humans weren't the strongest or fastest. We learned that cooperation often works better than conflict. The Confederation has much to learn from humanity," the ambassador said. His scales now showed the deep gold color of respect. "Your ability to form partnerships across species lines suggests possibilities we never considered." As they walked back to the exhibition grounds, they passed Zarix, who was sitting quietly with one of the training dogs, a border collie. The young alien was gently stroking the dog's fur while the animal leaned against him comfortably. "It appears the learning has already begun," Ellie said with a smile. The final day of the exhibition would bring the biggest surprise yet, one that would change the relationship between Earth and the galaxy forever. On the final day of the exhibition, Captain Ellie Wright had a special announcement. She stood on the main stage with Ambassador Krelthax at her side. The crowd of humans and aliens grew quiet as she began to speak. "Today marks not just the end of our exhibition but the beginning of something new," she said. "Earth is joining the Galactic Confederation and we bring a special gift. We call it Project Genesis." Screens around the stage lit up with images of alien worlds and their native animals. The audience murmured with interest. "Project Genesis will share our knowledge of animal partnerships with all worlds in the Confederation," Ellie continued. "Human trainers will help other species learn to work with the animals on their own planets, just as we have done on Earth." The response was immediate and excited. Many alien representatives stood up, eager to be first in line for this program. Ambassador Krelthax raised his four hands for quiet. "This is the most valuable gift Earth could offer," he said. "Not weapons or technology, but a new way to live with the other creatures of our worlds." Zarix pushed forward through the crowd. "I volunteer to be the first Zaraxian student," he called out. His scales glowed with excitement. "I wish to learn everything about this human skill." Commander Hill smiled. "We already have a teacher picked out for you, Zarix. Sam Cooper, who led the Amazon rescue, will work with you." Sam stepped forward, his German shepherd at his side. "We'll start your training tomorrow, and in 6 months we'll travel to your homeworld to meet your native animals." After the ceremony, aliens from many worlds gathered to sign up for the program. Some came from planets where dangerous creatures had always been feared and hunted. Others came from worlds where animals were used only for food or materials. All of them now saw new possibilities. Dr. Garcia found Captain Wright watching the excited crowd. "I never expected this response," Penny said. "They're treating our animal trainers like rare treasures." "Because they are," Ellie replied. "Think about it. The Confederation has faster ships, more advanced computers, and incredible medical technology, but they never learned to form partnerships across species lines. That skill might be more valuable than any technology." 5 years passed. Project Genesis spread to 50 different worlds. Human trainers traveled the galaxy, helping other species learn to work with their native animals. Some found quick success, others faced greater challenges. But everywhere, the idea of partnership replaced fear and control. On the Xeraxian homeworld, Xerix led the most successful program. Their world had canine-like creatures that showed high intelligence and pack behavior similar to Earth wolves. Within 3 years, they had developed working relationships with these animals, using them for search and rescue, security, and companionship. Captain Wright, now Admiral Wright, visited the Xeraxian Academy on its 5th anniversary. Ambassador Krelthax, who had requested permanent assignment to Earth after his first mission, accompanied her. "Your people have made remarkable progress," Ellie said, as they watched young Xeraxians working with their animal partners in a training field. "We were ready for this lesson," the ambassador replied. "For too long we saw animals only as resources or threats. Now we see them as potential allies." They entered a large building at the center of the academy. Inside, a special unit was preparing for a rescue mission. A mine had collapsed on a distant moon, trapping workers under rubble. Teams from 5 different worlds were gathering, each bringing their animal partners to help. Colonel Dan Hill, who now led the Earth teams, briefed the mixed group. Humans with search dogs worked alongside Xeraxians with their native trackers. Veraxian engineers brought burrowing creatures that could move through tight spaces. Even the timid Dravids, once the most fearful species in the Confederation, now worked with small flying animals similar to earth bats. "This would have been impossible 5 years ago," Krelthax said softly. "No one would have imagined different species working together like this, let alone with animals from various worlds." In the training area, Admiral Wright stopped to watch a young Earthwoman named Lisa Chen working with a group of alien students. Lisa was showing them how to establish trust with a newly rescued predator from their world. "The key is respect," Lisa explained. "Never forget that this is a partnership. The animal must choose to work with you. You cannot force it." A young Xeraxian practiced the technique, moving slowly and calmly toward the nervous animal. When the creature finally took food from his hand, the student's scales flashed with joy. "That's it," praised Lisa. "That's the beginning of trust." Xerix, now the head instructor at the academy, joined Admiral Wright and the ambassador. "We have a saying, hear now," he told them. "What humans taught us about animals, they also taught us about each other." As evening fell, a celebration began in the academy's central square. Species that once would have avoided each other now shared food, stories, and laughter. Their animal partners rested nearby, creating a picture that would have seemed impossible. Before Earth joined the Confederation, Admiral Wright found a quiet spot away from the main celebration. She watched the stars appearing in the alien sky, thinking about how far they had come. Ambassador Krelthax joined her. "When I first came to Earth," he said, "I thought we were doing you a favor by inviting your primitive world to join the Confederation." His scales shifted to show amusement. "I had no idea that your primitive skills would change the galaxy." "We had good teachers," Ellie replied, looking toward the Earth animals that had made the journey with them. "Earth's fiercest creatures taught us patience, respect, and trust. Without those lessons, we might never have been ready to meet the stars." On the training field below, a young Xeraxian child carefully approached one of the Earth dogs. The dog, a gentle golden retriever, wagged its tail and licked the alien's hand. The child's scales flashed with delight. "That," said Admiral Wright, pointing to the scene, "is the real future of the galaxy. Not ships or weapons or technology, but different kinds of life learning to understand each other." As stars filled the alien sky, humans and aliens and animals from a dozen worlds shared the night in peace. The fiercest creatures of Earth, once seen as proof that the planet was too dangerous for intelligent life, had instead shown the way toward a new kind of galactic community. And on planets across the Confederation, creatures that had once been feared were becoming trusted partners, changing worlds that had remained unchanged for thousands of years. The universe would never be the same again.